Apple has finally released a brand new HomePod, Generation 2, after straight up discontinuing the original version a couple years ago. And in this video, we'll be looking at the good and the bad with this new HomePod. We'll see if you should buy it or if the HomePod Mini is actually a better option. Starting off with the good, the first thing is there is a new design with some very small changes. The new HomePod now comes in a midnight color, which is essentially a dark black when compared to the black HomePod Mini, and it also comes in white. The touchscreen display on the top of the HomePod is now a little bit bigger, and the power cord is now removable. On the previous model, it was not, and I guess this is good in case you or your pets trip on the power cord. The HomePod does not come flying down. Just the cord gets removed, so it will protect the HomePod. Though it's a little bit difficult to knock over a 5-pound speaker than it is the HomePod Mini that weighs almost a pound, and the power cable is not removable. The power cable on the HomePod is surprisingly not proprietary to Apple. It uses a regular figure 8 power cable, so if you need to replace it, any figure 8 cable will work. The second good thing about this new HomePod is the sound quality. The HomePods are known for having great, powerful, high quality sound with deep, rich bass, and the new model is no different. I will say though, the original HomePod had 7 tweeters, which allows for strong highs, crystal clear voice audio, and clear instruments. Apple has now removed 2 tweeters in this model, so it now has 5, and the audio quality sounds very similar. I don't have the original HomePod to compare the sound to, but from the audio tests that I've been hearing online, the new one and the old one sound about the same. The new HomePod now has an Apple S7 chip, which is the same chip that's used in the Apple Watch Series 7. And the S7 chip is a little bit newer than the S5 chip that's used in the HomePod Mini. The S7 chip means that Siri will activate faster, though it was not much faster than the HomePod Mini, and in some cases it was the same speed. Which, by the way, the new HomePod now has 4 mics instead of 6 on the original HomePod for picking up your voice. But with less mics, the HomePod still does a great job at picking up your voice from far distances away. This matches the HomePod Mini that has 4 mics as well. Another good thing about the new HomePod is that it can be a smart home hub. The HomePod can control smart home devices that are compatible with Apple Home or now Matter, as it's Matter ready. This includes devices like smart bulbs, smart plugs, smart locks, or run scenes that control multiple devices at once. The HomePod can be your smart home hub, which is needed for remote viewing and controlling of your smart devices. The HomePod also supports Thread and acts as a Threadboard router, so if you have any Thread-enabled smart devices, you'll be able to take advantage of Thread speed and reliability. Something the new HomePod and the HomePod Mini can both do is now detect for smoke and carbon monoxide alarms going off. The HomePod will listen for these alarm sounds and will send you notifications when this alarm is recognized. But this will be available later in the spring with a software update. The last good thing about this new HomePod is that it now has a built-in temperature and humidity sensor. This can detect the temperature and the humidity in a room, so you don't have to buy individual temperature and humidity sensors. I've been using the Aqara temperature and humidity sensor for a couple years now, and the HomePod are about as accurate as Aqara's. You can use the sensor in automations, like if a room gets above 80 degrees, then it could turn on a fan to start cooling the room. You can even ask Siri the temperature of a room. Now let's look at what's bad with this new HomePod. And this is why I found the HomePod to be a hard buy. The first reason is there's really no new colors. The new midnight color and the white look great, but I wish I had more colors like with the HomePod Mini. This is more of a personal preference, and it's not the biggest issue that I have with this HomePod. My biggest issue with this new HomePod is the price. At $299 and 5 years later than the original model, the only thing really new that we get is support for Thread and sensors to detect temperature and humidity, all for the same $299 price, which the HomePod Mini can do all of that at a much cheaper price, at a third of the cost. If the HomePod was $250 or $199 with the current features, I would be okay with that. If you want to charge a high price for the HomePod, then that's fine, but make it do way more. Like maybe add in a touchscreen for video calls. I don't really think it's worth it spending $300 on a new HomePod with virtually nothing new, except if you're using it for one specific thing, which we'll get to next. The question you may be asking yourself is, why should I spend $300 on a HomePod when the HomePod Mini can do exactly what the HomePod can do at just a third of the cost? Well, the main difference is sound quality. The big HomePod has high-end audio components, like a woofer and tweeters to provide deep bass and high-quality audio with voices and music, along with support for Dolby Atmos for music and video. If you have an Apple TV, then you can use the HomePods as a stereo pair to really have high-quality audio for music or movies, potentially being able to replace an actual sound bar for your TV. The HomePod Mini is obviously smaller and it's not going to be as loud or provide as much deep bass, and that's perfectly okay. You can still use the HomePod Minis as speakers for your Apple TV, just the audio may not be as loud compared to the bigger HomePod. If you're an audiophile or want super loud and high quality audio, then the HomePod, the big HomePod, is going to be your best bet. But personally, I'm not an audiophile, so I use the HomePod Mini, and the audio sounds incredibly amazing for just this tiny speaker. It has the same smart home features and the temperature sensor as the big HomePod. So really the only thing that I don't get is super loud audio. The HomePod Mini is more for general use and for smaller areas, like in a bathroom, maybe a bedroom or a kitchen, whereas the big HomePod would be best for things like your TV, either in a living room or bedroom, or maybe in a kitchen too if you have a large kitchen. I don't have a large kitchen, so having a big HomePod in there would just take up too much room. So the HomePod Mini is perfect for me. If you already have the original HomePod, I think the new one is a good investment since it has a much faster chip, so Siri commands, HomeKit controls, and AirPlay will be much faster. If you don't have a big HomePod, then the HomePod Mini may be the better option depending on the size of where you want it, because you don't want a large speaker in a big room or a small speaker in a large room. You'd want good balance. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.